Hello students. Now in this session we will be looking at plant adaptations for different biomes. Now biomes might look like a new term to you, but it is nothing but a kind of an ecosystem where it is basically looking at a biological community that have formed in response to shared physical climate. So shared, when I say biological community that have formed in response to shared physical climate. So depending upon the climatic conditions, there are different ecosystems which have come here. So if you take this desert, okay, so different form of physical environmental conditions are prevailing in this particular desert. So when that is there will be different organisms or plants or animals and physical agents also which are there. They will form a particular ecosystem, and this ecosystem, with the intervention of the physical environment, they come together to form the biomes. Okay, right? Now you can see here, this is a biome, evergreen forest is a biome. You have the Himalayan range, which is a biome. So depending upon the physical climatic conditions, the organisms will adapt. Okay, so how are they doing it? We will see in this particular session. Okay, now moving on. Now, desert and drought adaptations. So you might have understood what is a desert, you know, and what is a drought. Drought means what? There will be very less amount of water. I'll not say no water, I'll say very less amount of water here. Okay, desert and drought adaptations. Now, in desert and drought adaptations, small leaves, needles or spines on desert plants conserve water. So that's why I had told you in my previous session also, you can see this cactus plant, you have the leaves, spines here. Now these spines are actually modified leaves, okay? And in the cactus plant, you can see that the stem will perform the photosynthesis because it contains chlorophyll, and the leaves are like spines giving protection to the plant. But actually, why the leaves have modified themselves into spines? Because leaves are the major places where transpiration occurs, that is, loss of water occurs in the plant. So in a desert plant, in a desert, the plant has to conserve water. It's not that the leaves are broad, so the water will evaporate continuously, or I will say the water will transpire out continuously. Okay, because of that, the leaves are modified into spines and the stem will perform the photosynthesis. Now, there can be a question asked, sir, if the stems are green, okay, they are performing photosynthesis, how is it that the stems are not losing water so fast? Okay, now the answer to that is, the stems here, they will have a waxy coat on top of it. Okay, now that waxy coat will prevent the loss of water. Okay, right? It will absorb sunlight, it will perform photosynthesis, but it will not let the water go out. That waxy coat will not let the water go out. Okay, right? So, small leaves, needles or spines on desert plants conserve water. Okay, then thick waxy leaf containing holds water. That's what I told you just now. Stomata, openings in the leaf, you people already know, are under the leaf and often only open at night and conserve water and stop transpiration. So in desert plants, the stomata will open only in the night. Please remember this. Okay, I'll change the color. Okay, right. So they will open only in the night. Why they open in the night? Because there is less amount of water which can be transpired, because in the night there is no sun, and desert, it has colder conditions. Okay, right? So often only open at night to conserve water and stop transpiration. Okay, now moving on. Now roots near the soil surface soak up the rainwater quickly before it evaporates. So that is the great adaptation of a desert plant. So what roots do? Whatever water is there on the soil, because the desert is extremely hot, and once it rains, the water, because of the hotness of the desert, will immediately evaporate. So in order to prevent that, in order to say before the water evaporates, the roots quickly absorb that water. Okay, and often they have dormant phases to survive droughts. As I told you earlier, in structural adaptations, that the flowers are dormant to protect themselves for the water and nutrients. Okay, if the flowers are dormant, the water and nutrients are not supplied over there, so it is conserved. So often have dormant phases. That is these are the phases where the flowers are not there. Okay, to survive in the droughts. Now examples here, as you can see, cactus, yucca, okay, and succulent and pines, succulents and pines. So these are some of the examples of desert or drought plants. Okay, right? Now moving on, grassland adaptations. Now what are these grassland adaptations? Deep roots help plants survive uncontrolled fire in a grassy area. Now, so deep roots, so these plants, they have deep roots. So the roots go very deep into the soil. So these roots are going very, very deep into the soil. Okay. So when they are going very deep into the soil, what will happen? Even though there is a fire, because there are roots deep down in the bottom, the fire will not be able to reach there and burn the roots. So after the fire is over, again the plant will start growing. Okay, because the roots are intact. Okay, right? Now, narrow leaves lose less water than broad leaves. So this is a common thing that we have. We know that narrower leaves definitely will lose less water than compared to broad leaves. Okay, right. Now say for example, I'm holding this pen in my hand. Okay, now if this pen was broader, I will not be able to hold it like this. Okay, right? Okay, so think the same way, think this as a leaf. Okay, now this is a narrow leaf, so water holding capacity will be, water losing capacity will be less than compared to a broader pen. Okay, right? Now, flexible stem bend it in the wind. So what do grassland adaptations do? Flexible stems are bending towards the wind. Okay, so when they bend towards the wind, what is the thing that they are doing? They are actually not allowing the, not allowing the other forces of nature to take them over. So when they bend, if the fire is also there, it will just sweep out on the top, but it will not go to the bottom. That's why. Okay, right? So few examples of grassland plants are milkweed, cornflower, and stinging nettle. Okay, so this is the milkweed, cornflower. You can see the cornflower here. Okay, and you have the stinging nettle. You have the stinging nettle here. Okay, so these are the grassland adaptations. Moving on, tundra adaptations. Now, in tundra, you have small plants grow close to the ground for warmth. Okay, so small plants, if they are there, they grow closer to the plant for warmth. So on the ground, you can see that there is a lot of warmth on the ground because the sun is beating on the ground. Okay, so they stay close because when they go to the top in tundra adaptations, in tundra there is a lot of temperature loss. Excuse me. Okay, there is a lot of temperature loss. Now, when there is a lot of temperature loss over there, the plants during that cold conditions, will not be able to survive if it is tall. So it will reduce its height and it will survive near the ground, that is close to the ground. Okay, to get the warmth. Okay, then dark colored flowers absorb heat from the sun. Okay, so if the flowers are dark, so you know that black absorbs more heat. Okay, so depending on that principle, the flowers here are bright in color. Okay, they are bright in color. So when they are bright in color, they absorb more heat from the sun so that they can be warm and they can survive in the tundra region. Then fuzzy stems provide protection from wind. Okay, so fuzzy stems, if there are fuzzy stems, these are basically fuzzy stems. Okay, so when the plants are fuzzy, they have fuzzy stems, what happens here? They don't very quickly bend from the wind. They don't very quickly are blown away by the wind. That is what I meant by fuzzy stems. Okay, now the example for that is mosses. then low growing plants and small berry plants. So these are the examples of tundra adaptations. Then moving on, rainforest adaptations. Now when we talk about rainforest adaptations, you have smooth, slippery bark keeps vines from killing trees. Now here in rainforest you can see a lot of twines or vines. Okay, they vine around the parent plant. They start living on that particular plant and they start slowly depleting the growth of the host plant. Okay, right? So when that happens, so when that is happening, what is that these plants do? Now these plants, they have a slippery, smooth and slippery barks. So when they have smooth and slippery barks, the vines will not be able to latch on to that particular bark. Okay, right? And they will not be able to kill that particular tree. Okay, then slide shaped leaves let rain run off so fungus doesn't grow on the plant. Now if you see here, the leaves are slide shaped. Okay, so if a water is falling here, it will definitely drip down. Okay, so the water will definitely drip outwards. Now when the water is dripping outwards, that means what? The fungus cannot grow. Now say for example, if this entire leaf is moist and it is holding water, then what will happen? There can be various other organisms resting on it, depending on the leaf for its food. Majorly fungus is the main reason. So fungus, what it does, if the water is stagnant over there on the leaf, it starts growing on the leaf because leaf is an easy target for it to get nutrients. Okay, so the fungus will target that particular leaf and they will actually live upon the leaf and finally the leaf will die. Okay, right? Now because in the rainforest there is continuous rain which is seen, okay, the leaves are shaped like this. That is the structural adaptation that the leaves have achieved. Okay, then deep growing roots anchor the plant to prevent it from washing away. Now this is also a very, very major thing. Now say for example, you have rainforest where continuous rains are falling. Obviously rainforest means continuous rains will be falling. So when continuous rains will be falling, there is every chance that soil will be eroded continuously. Okay, so when the soil is eroded continuously, what will happen if the roots are not deep? The roots will be exposed and the anchoring of the plant will be disturbed on the soil, in the soil. Okay, so when the anchoring of the plant is disturbed in the soil, what will happen? The plant will just get ripped off because of water force on the soil. So the roots of the plants are buried very deep into the soil in the rainwater. And also in desert adaptations also, the roots are buried deep because the roots have to suck water and nutrients to make the plant survive, the desert plants. Here in rainforest, the roots have to go deep because they have to anchor themselves, okay, right, to the soil. So examples, you have bamboo, mangrove, okay, then you have epiphytes such as bromeliads and orchids. These are orchids and this is the bromeliad, okay, right. Moving on, temperate forest adaptations. Okay, next one is the temperate forest adaptations. Now, thick bark protects the trees and dropping leaves in winter conserves water and nutrients during the cold winters. Okay, so temperate forest means you have high summers, then also you have rains, you have springs, and then you have the spring season is there, summer, rainy, winter season. Okay, right? Now, so if a plant is having a thick bark like this, okay, and if the plant is wilting its leaves, that is, the plant is removing the leaves, okay. So in temperate forest, the plants will adapt in such a way that they conserve the loss of water, okay. So in winters, what will happen? The leaves will start withering off from the trees, okay. So when the leaves start withering off from the leaves, then what will withering off from the plant, then what will happen there? The loss of water will be less, the conservation of water will be more by the plant. And if the bark is thick, okay, right, it protects the trees from harsh winters, Okay, the bark is thick, it protects the tree from the harsh winters. Okay, right. Then, example I have given here, deciduous trees drop leaves like birch, beech, oak and maple, ferns and northern arrowwood shrubs. You can make a note of these plants. These are very, very prominent. Okay, right? Birch, beech, oak and maple. Then ferns and northern arrowwood shrubs. Okay, so these are the plants which are growing in temperate regions and they follow this kind of a adaptation. All right, moving on. Now, water adaptations. Okay, so we have our national flower here. Okay, that is the lotus. Okay, so flexible stems moves with water currents. Okay, so if you see a lotus plant, the leaf is on the top, the stem is at the bottom and the flower is on the stem. Okay, so what will happen here, the flexible stems move with the water current, so they will be moving along the water currents. Floating seeds spread offspring. So once the stem is moving here and there, automatically because of that force, the seeds will be falling onto the water and they will be spreading across the water. Okay, so when they are spreading across the water, they will be offsprings which are made because they are seeds. Okay, spread of offsprings. And then air pockets in the stem are the base of leaves to help the leaves float. So you have certain air pockets in the stem. The stem is not shown here though, but under this leaf here at this junction here, you will have stems. Okay, so stems will have air pockets. Because of that, the leaf will they will make the leaf to float on the top. Okay, so this is basically water adaptations, and examples you already know: lotus, hornwort, this is the hornwort, and you have the water lily. All right, okay, now moving on. Parasitic plants. Now, there are certain plants which are dependent on the host plant completely or partially. Okay, right? Now, these plants which are partial parasites, like say for example, if I can see here, you have the mistletoe. This is a mistletoe plant. Okay, now it is green in color because it can perform photosynthesis. But the plants, what they do, they can only perform photosynthesis, but they don't have a proper shelter. That means they don't grow on the ground. So what they do, they select trees, okay, and they have some roots like succulents, and these roots will go and stick onto the main bark of the plant, and they will start sucking nutrients. Okay, so when they start sucking nutrients, then what will happen here? The growth of the host plant here will get reduced. It's not that they will not allow the host plant to die, because if the host plant dies, even they will die. Okay, so they will not let the host plant die, but they will only reduce the growth rate of the particular plant. Okay, right? So those are parasitic plants. Now, have roots that can draw nutrients from other living plant. That's what I said. You have the adventitious root or succulent roots, which they go deep into the host plant and they suck the nutrients out. Then you have, they do not require soil. Obviously, they are growing on other plant. Why the hell they will require a soil? Okay, right? Now, example, you have mistletoe and rafflesia. Rafflesia you will see in the next slide. Then yellow rattle, that's the yellow rattle plant. And Australian Christmas tree. So you have the Christmas tree also, which is a parasitic plant. So you have the yellow rattle here. I'm so sorry, this is not the yellow rattle. This is the, I think this is the Australian Christmas tree. Okay, and then you have the yellow rattle here. Okay, right? So these are parasitic plants. And corpse flower, that is rafflesia. Now, rafflesia is a corpse flower. It's the biggest flower in the world, and it gives out the smell of a rotting corpse. Okay, right? Okay, now this flower is so big that actually you can make a baby sleep on that flower. Okay, it's very big. Okay, and the other thing is, this will emit out a very corpsey smell, very bad smell. Okay, and that is because to attract insects, or not insects, pollinators basically. Okay, so that is also one of the parasitic plant. Okay, then you have carnivorous plants. Okay, now this is also a type of adaptation where these plants, that is the carnivorous plants, they grow in soils which are deficient in nitrogen. Okay, these carnivorous plants, they grow in soils which are deficient in nitrogen. So when they are deficient in nitrogen, okay, the main source to make proteins for the plant is nitrogen. Okay, so what do they do? The best source to obtain proteins are nothing. The best source is the insects. You can see here the insects. Okay, right? So these plants have developed certain modifications here. Okay, the plants have developed some modifications in order to make the source of nitrogen possible for them to make proteins. Okay, so these are basically carnivorous plants. You have the Venus flytrap. This is the Venus flytrap. Okay, you have the monkey cup here, sundew and cobra. This is the cobra lily. Okay, because it's just like the hood of a cobra. This is the cobra lily. Okay, and you have the sundew plant and the monkey cup, which I'll show you in the later slide. But here, so get some of their food by trapping and consuming animals, mainly insects. Basically, insects are also considered an animal, so that's why I have written like that. Now, because they eat bugs, they can live in areas with poor soil. That's what. Now, when I say poor soil here, that is nitrogen deficient soil. Okay, right? So that is why they are modified themselves. That is, the leaves have modified themselves. Some stems are modified. So depending on the type of modifications, the plant traps insect. The mechanism of trapping the insects is seen. Okay, now, so this is the pitcher plant or a monkey cup. This is the monkey cup. Okay, you can see one insect has fallen inside it. Okay, and here also in this slide, you have seen the Venus flytrap. Okay, now in the Venus flytrap, you will have a trap like this. Okay, it's a leaf. Okay, and you will have small triggers like this on the leaf. Okay, if I can just show you. Okay, so you will have small triggers like this. So consider my pen as a trigger here. You have a trigger here, you have a trigger here, and also on this particular hand. So when an insect is coming and landing here, okay, so insect will not stay in the middle, obviously, it will move around. So when it moves around, if it triggers one of the trigger in the leaf, this part of the leaf will automatically close. And it is very quick. Now the insect which is trapped inside cannot move out because of these teeth-like structures. Okay, right? They will interlock like this. Okay, and they will never allow the insect to come out. And then the plant will release certain digestive enzymes which will digest the insect. Okay, once it digests the insects, it will get the proteins and it will break down the proteins and get the source of nitrogen. Okay, right? Similarly, in the Venus flytrap also, you will have, in the pitcher plant, in the pitcher plant, okay, you will have a leaf. It's a leaf actually modified into a pitcher. So in a pitcher plant, leaf is modified into a pitcher. And they look very attractive. That is obviously there. They look very attractive. Now the insects, once it comes, there is a lid on top of the pitcher. Okay. So this is the leaf actually. Okay, and the leaf is modified into a pitcher like this. And this pitcher will have a lid. Okay, a big lid like this. Okay, so the insect will come and automatically it will fall into the pitcher. Okay, once it falls into the pitcher, the pitcher inside will have backward pointing barbs like this. Okay, so when the insect is inside, okay, when it tries to fly out, these barbs will hinder the insect to come out of the pitcher. Okay, so once the barbs don't allow the insect, then slowly what will happen? The plant will secrete juice, digestive juices, the insect will be consumed and proteins will be grown. Similarly, the sundew plant also. This is also very attractive. Once the insect falls on it, it is stuck here. Okay, the plant folds like this, it is stuck here, and the plant gets the source of nitrogen. Okay, right? Now, okay, so these are some of the adaptations that plants have made in order to sustain themselves in the existing environmental conditions. Okay, right? So in today's session we have seen what a biome is, which is biological communities that have formed in response to shared physical climate that we have seen. What are biomes? We have seen desert adaptations, okay? Then we have seen grassland adaptations, okay? Then we have seen tundra adaptations. Then we have seen rainforest adaptations. Then we have seen temperate forest adaptations. Then we have seen water adaptations, parasitic plants. Then we have seen carnivorous plants. So this concludes our plant adaptations, and in the next session we will be looking at animal adaptations, which is a little bigger session. Okay, thank you so much.